Hello and welcome to the Artificial Intelligence for Information Accessibility podcast, organized by Carnegie Council for Ethics in International Affairs. The AI4IA podcast series is in association with the Artificial Intelligence for Information Accessibility 2022 conference on September 28, which will commemorate the International Day for Universal Access to Information. The AI4IA Conference and podcast series is also being hosted in collaboration with AI for Society, Kule Institute for Advanced Studies, both at the University of Alberta, Center for New Economic Diplomacy at ORF India, and the Broadcasting Commission of Jamaica. In this episode, we will give you a sneak peek into who we are, what are we doing, and why we are doing that. I'm Ayushi Khemka, your host and a PhD student at the University of Alberta. Today, I'm in conversation with Mr. Cordel Green, the UNESCO Information for All Program Working Group on Information Accessibility Chair. He is also a member of the advisory board for Carnegie Council's Artificial Intelligence and Equality Initiative. He is the person who is making all of this possible. We welcome you, Cordel. Cordel, my first question to you is, why don't you tell our listeners about what this podcast is all about?
Well, thank you very much, Ayushi. And first of all, I want to thank the Carnegie Council and the Carnegie AI Equality Initiative for this opportunity, and to also acknowledge our partners. Our objective is to not just raise the visibility of the AI4IA Conference, which will be held on September 28, but to focus on some of the critical issues which will be tackled at that conference. I want to say, though, hastily, when we talk about AI, sometimes it becomes sort of technocentric, and I want to assure persons that the podcast is going to be delivered in a manner that makes artificial intelligence accessible to regular folk, not just people with an interest in or technical knowledge about artificial intelligence. So the podcast series will be in simple, non-academic and non-technical language.
Awesome. My next question to you is, we know that artificial intelligence is becoming more and more important with every passing day, and the responsibility of making sure that the technological advancements are used to make information accessible to all, it just becomes more and more pertinent. Why do you think information accessibility matters, and what does it mean to make information accessible through AI?
Well, Ayushi, first of all, I think it is important for all of us to understand that AI can be very beneficial to society, but when it is abused or misused, it is very harmful. And this situation is worsened by the fact that there are many people who know nothing about artificial intelligence, although increasingly all around us, it is present and very much influencing what we read, what we see, what we hear, what we think about, and what we do. But artificial intelligence is a tool. It is not our savior. It is not our master. And we should not be misled by AI hype and believe that AI must develop as desired by engineers, or that we have to suffer from bad consequences because of the thoughtlessness of anyone who is involved in developing AI. We can and we must insist on AI development, deployment, and access, which is respectful of our human rights, protects the most vulnerable, particularly children. Artificial intelligence must be used to preserve our democratic and cultural traditions, not work against them, as we're seeing with fake news or properly disinformation and misinformation. The point is that when regular people understand the power of artificial intelligence for good and bad, we can then insist that our governments and businesses operate in a framework designed to support the ethical development, deployment, and use of artificial intelligence. That is, AI that comports with freedom of expression, respects the value of preserving free choice, AI enabling universal access to information, AI enhancing, not diminishing, the quality of journalism, enhancing cultural and linguistic diversity, not making us less diverse, and AI developed and used in a manner respectful of rights to privacy while mitigating against consumer manipulation. None of that will happen in an environment of low levels of digital literacy, information inequity, or the huge divide which exists between digital elites and regular citizens. That is the importance of the conference we have organized, Artificial Intelligence for Information Accessibility. It's promoting an inclusive, multi-stakeholder approach to artificial intelligence governance, which means all of us must be involved in this process. And it begins with the sharing of information in ways that are accessible. The language used, the platform used, the people who are coming to speak. And we try to have a broad mix of individuals because we're talking about a next generation technology, so it affects or can affect, will affect all sectors.
Right. I think my last question to you would be, what can our listeners expect from this series as a whole?
Well, perhaps I should start, Ayushi, by using the conference as the point of departure, because the Artificial Intelligence for Information Accessibility Conference on September 28th will cover a range of themes. And these include AI ethics, AI and law, the use of AI to overcome disabilities and to deliver access, women who are leading AI innovation, values and principles that support non-exploitative information access for the unconnected, artificial intelligence for a positive planet, how AI intersects with e-governance and culture, data sovereignty, AI and neurotechnological convergence, and other technologies such as virtual reality and augmented reality, extended reality, AI and localism, AI and health, AI intersecting with art, human creativity, the importance of information accessibility, and all of these with reference to the UN Sustainable Development Goals. Now, the podcast will feature some of those topics, some of the interesting speakers we have, and therefore will deliver great perspectives. I have to make a confession to you, Ayushi. I am personally looking forward to our chat with a Brazilian federal judge who is also a PhD candidate, laser focused on artificial intelligence and the future administration of justice. That will be an interesting discussion. And then we have some of the speakers being graduate students. So it will be a great mix of persons with very good and interesting, diverse perspectives. I invite everyone to tune in. It will be a lot of information delivered in a manner which is easy to follow.
Thank you so much, Cordel, for that quick yet detailed preview of what the conference and what the podcast is going to be like. I'm sure our listeners are going to benefit a lot from that. That was Cordel Green on AI and IA. Stay tuned with us for the next few weeks as we take you through the world of all things AI and how to make information accessible to everyone. We have a fab lineup planned, so keep listening and share it with your friends. And while you're here, don't forget to sign up for our conference. The link is in the description. You can tweet to us at Carnegie Council and check out more stuff on AI at www.ai4society.ca, that is the number 4, and www.ualberta.ca/Kule-Institute, that is KULE-Institute.